Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Today we are going to be working on this teacher decal inspired tumbler. As soon as I saw this decal that I got in from AB Design Co., I was totally inspired to recreate it on my tumbler. I found these double-sided sticky tapes at Hobby Lobby a while ago, and I had been dying to use them, and I knew this was the perfect project to use them for. So I started with my prepped cup, and then it was cold and rainy that day, so I painted it with white chalk paint. I had two sizes of the double-sided tape, and I just lined them up in a similar pattern to this decal, and then I was just making sure that I gave myself enough room for the decal still. Once that was all mapped out and sized correctly, I started with glittering the individual lines. All the glitters that I'm using are from Diamonds and Dust, and the first one is Lavender Lust. And be careful when you pull off that backing, it is sticky, and I laid it down on the piece of paper, and of course, it got stuck. I was able to fix it, but still, just don't do that. And so we started with Lavender Lust. It's such a pretty lavender color. And then shake it off, and then I just took a soft, dry paintbrush and was able to move all that extra glitter off. And then this is Sub-Zero, I believe. Yeah, Sub-Zero. And then the next one, all the whites are going to be Abominable. And I wanted this next section to be wider, so I just put two pieces of tape right next to each other to make it look like a solid piece of tape. I don't think they had tape this wide, or I just didn't buy it. I don't remember. After that, we're going to go in with number 2 for this thin stripe, and I tried really hard not to let too much of the yellow or any at all fall into the white section, and I did get a little bit, just a tiny hint, but I just took a stiff paintbrush and kind of brushed it away, and that seemed to help a lot. I wasn't so worried about the colors falling into the stripes that I hadn't peeled the backing off yet, because even though it was a little staticky, once you peeled off the backing, it took care of that. And then we're going to go in with one more stripe of Abominable right above that yellow. And then the very last stripe is my absolute favorite color. It's Nectar, and it matched this decal perfectly. It's more of like, on the decal it looks like a muted red, but this Nectar color was like, it's so hard to explain. It's just beautiful. It's a mix between almost like a red and a copper, but pink, but not pink, but coral, but not coral. It matched perfectly. Then I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with the top and very bottom portion of this tumbler. I didn't necessarily want it to be white, so I decided to go in with this beautiful drizzle color. It's not gold, but it was just added some extra dimension. So I just painted on my Crystal glitter glue and covered it with this drizzle color on the top and the very, very bottom portion under all the stripes. Once that was all completed and dried, I went in with 2 coats of epoxy because I wanted it very smooth. And then of course, I wouldn't be me without adding some power wash. At the last minute, I decided I wanted a little bit of texture, so I taped off all the stripes, and just where that drizzle color was, I went in with a power wash with just white and a hint of gold, just like a splotch or two of gold. It was just a good combination to bring out the white that I wanted and also hints from the background color. This decal is a white backed decal, so I wasn't worried about it not showing up. But when I put the decal on, it didn't quite show up as much as I wanted to because there are some clear elements to part of this design. So I put it on, and then once I put it on, you can't see my face, but I'm kind of looking at it, deciding I don't love it. So what I did was I just peeled it off, and this is right on the power wash, not a coat of epoxy in between. So I peeled it off, and then I just took it outside and gave it a little bleach spot, if you will, and it was perfect. It gave just enough white that it didn't take away from the power wash, but just enough that it really let the decal stand out on top of all of that. Be really careful when you pull off your decal. Try not to leave any fingerprints on the back of the decal. I just pulled it off very carefully and returned it to its original backing just for protection, and then reapplied the same way, and it was perfect. Now you can see through that clear spot, it's white. So then this is where the decal really comes together. I wanted to recreate each stripe to look like each part of the rainbow. So out of 651 white vinyl, I just cut out a bunch of small letters and alphabet, and I just randomly hand applied them to this corally red stripe. I just filled this stripe with the alphabet and the numbers, and then I also went in with some super tiny little circle dots, which those I'm surprised were even left because some I'd pick up and they'd go flying. You could also use a paint marker to apply dots, but I used all the letters and the numbers and the dots, and then filled in anywhere I felt needed an extra something there. And I wanted to overlap the lines so that they would be not the lines, the alphabet and the numbers, so that they would be cut off just like in the decal design. And then I trimmed off anything that was an overhang. And then in the next white stripe, I just took a yellow paint marker and added dots. In this yellow line, I took some yellow nail tape and just added 2 stripes, just like in the decal. And then in this next bigger stripe area, even though it's not a bigger stripe on the decal, I wanted this area to be a little bit bigger just to add some fun to it. I took some light green nail tape, and I didn't want the line to be perfectly straight, so I just wrapped it, like moving my hand at the same time, so it kind of gave this overlap look. And then I realized later that I put it too close to the edge, so you will see that I move those green lines in a little bit. And then this one had a dotted line in this reddish color, which this nail tape also matched perfectly. I just feel like I lucked out on this with all this matchy-matchy, but I love the matchy-matchy. So the only way that I could think to do this would be to lay down a stripe and then cut little sections out of it to give it that striped look. I mean, I'm sure that there was a much easier way to do this, but this is just what my brain thought of, so this is how I did it. And let me tell you, it was time consuming and very tedious, and yeah, it just took forever, but it paid off in the end because it was perfect. So after I did that, then we are going to see here, I fixed the green, which I love the way it turned out even better. And then we are going to go on to these adorable little hands on the blue stripe. And be careful because those little fingers are tiny. But I had all the same similar colors except for like a corally reddish color. And so I just left those handprints out. So I did blue, green, purple, yellow. And then when I cut those yellow hands out, I realized that that yellow matched a little bit better for the yellow stripe. You'd be able to see them a little bit better. So I took off the yellow nail tape on that row and just added 2 lines of this same yellow vinyl that I used for the hands. I then trimmed off any of the hand overhang, and the entire thing then got one more good coat of epoxy. And then as soon as that was done, we went into striping the stripes. I took this black nail tape, which in the end, I don't think it was quite black, but it was black enough. And so I wanted it to represent some of the black elements in the original decal, and I just went in and put a thin line of this in between each stripe to really break them up. If you don't have nail tape, you could just cut some super thin black vinyl and that would work just as well. Once all the striping was done, it got 2 more coats of epoxy and it was all done. I love the way this one came together. I'm not a teacher. My kids' teachers don't get gifts from us anymore because they're older now, but I was so inspired by this decal, I just had to make my vision come to life. I hope that I have inspired you in some way, and I would love for you to give me a follow on any of my socials. And if you like this video, like and subscribe so you can see what's coming. Starting this coming Saturday, I am doing a series for the month of June that are all dad-inspired tumblers, so make sure you subscribe to check back for that. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on Saturday.